everybody, it's Courtney from Your House Fitness, and today we're going to do a prenatal strength training routine, okay? So, a couple of things before we start. If you're used to strength training before you got pregnant, then you're probably okay to do everything here, no problems, no modifications. If you're brand new to strength training, you didn't do really much before you got pregnant, just make sure that you consult with your doctor before starting any program. That being said, if you did work out before you were pregnant, but you want to try some new things, I would definitely recommend you just consult with a doctor before you begin, okay? All right, so we're going to do a strength training routine, and I always get a lot of questions like, am I allowed to strength train when I'm pregnant? Yes, absolutely. As long as you don't have any injuries or no reason why you shouldn't, you're more than fine to do a lot of different strength training activities. So it is true that the relaxin levels in your blood are going to go up, which does create a lot more joint laxity. So I wouldn't recommend this is the time for you to start Olympic lifting, okay? No throwing weights above your head or anything like that. So you're gonna have to rein it in, okay? But yeah, no, generally heavy lifting, as long as everything's controlled and you're safe and you're stable, is fine. Also remember that your center of gravity has changed. So me being like this, I tend to notice that I'm starting to lean back a bit. So just be very mindful, because what you don't want to be doing is anything like very deep back bends to accommodate getting a weight above your head. So you need to kind of adjust. So if you're used to powerlifting, which I was a few years ago, I have to definitely bring the weights back down and do a much higher rep count so that I don't find that I'm fighting for those last couple of reps where I'm trying to get that extra cheat in, okay? Be very mindful of that. No deep back bends, no deep twists, okay? So a little bit is fine, but you don't want to be doing anything aggressive like crazy chops with a really heavy weight or anything like that. I would avoid anything where you're going to be lying on your back after 16 weeks pregnant, okay? It just really depends how big and heavy you are here, but a general rule of thumb is you want to avoid laying on your back for more than a couple of minutes, because the weight of your uterus will compress the inferior vena cava, which is going to take blood from the baby, from the placenta, right, and bring it back to your heart. And so you might actually find you get a little bit dizzy and nauseous, let alone cutting off, blood supply to your baby. So, okay. And now for the obvious one, you're not really going to be doing much that you can lie on your stomach. So no Supermans, no back extensions where you're required to lay on your stomach for obvious reasons, okay? But yeah, you really want to strength train to make sure that you stay fit, stay healthy, stay strong. I feel great exercising. If you don't feel good, then obviously in moderation, little bits, okay? But yeah, I would just take into consideration as well that your heart rate is going to be higher than it normally was. As a long-time endurance athlete, I had a pretty low resting heart rate, so I was pretty surprised to see one morning, I was like, oh my God, that's a lot higher for me. Be prepared for that. So because my resting heart rate's already higher, I'm already warmer, my perception of endurance or perception of work is much lower, okay? So it doesn't take a lot for me to feel more tired is what I'm trying to say. So be mindful. I do wear a watch that has a heart rate monitor on it, so I kind of get an idea of where I feel bad and where I'm okay. It's going to be different for everybody. They used to tell people that you couldn't get your heart rate above 140 beats per minute as you were pregnant. That has never been proven scientifically. So again, consult with your doctor if you're not sure about that. But as a general rule of thumb, that was never scientifically supported. So you do you, okay? And we'll take it easy from there. So I am going to start with some standing stuff, okay? So I set up a whole little area here. So I do have a couple bands, okay? If you don't have these, you guys can get them at Your House Fitness. They come in like 3 different levels or 3 different resistance, okay? So I've got a medium and a light resistance. I set up some risers here in a step. You could use a chair at home. You can use a couch, whatever you have, honestly. Honestly, at home, sometimes I just use the bathtub because I'm too lazy to set anything up. So if you have a bathtub, you just use that, but we'll worry about that when we get there. I have a yoga mat on the floor, and I have a couple weights. So you decide which weights you want to use based on what you've been doing up until this point, okay? But yeah, that's totally up to you, okay? So let's get started here. So really great exercise for everybody pregnant is to do squats, okay? Oh yeah. So we're gonna start with the first circuit. We're gonna do 3 different circuits today of 3 exercises. So a total of 9 exercises, okay? I'm gonna do circuit 1, 3 exercises here, 1 time through. If you want to do this more than 1 time, you're very experienced at lifting or you're experienced at exercise, period, I would suggest you aim for maybe 2 to 3 rounds of the first circuit, and then you can move on to circuit number 2, okay? But again, that'll be up to you. Let's just go through the demonstration for what the exercises are, and then once you get through the first round, if you're like, hey, I could do this again, you can either rewind and watch the videos again, or maybe write them down or take some notes from the show notes and do them on your own, okay? So just basically hit pause at the very end of all 3 exercises. You can repeat them yourself, and then you can continue with the video into circuit 2. I'll leave that up to you, okay? So the first one we're gonna do is a sumo squat, okay? So I'm gonna get a nice wide stance here. I generally find a wider stance is a little bit better for my belly. I don't feel so much pressure here when I'm coming down, okay? So a nice wide sumo squat, and then I'm gonna take these weights here. So basically I'm gonna hold them or rack them, a rack position. Now I'm okay lifting this weight above my head. If you're going heavy, you could just hold it like this. Otherwise, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna basically do a squat. I'm gonna pulse once at the bottom, and then I'm gonna push with one arm, okay? I'm gonna come down, again, pulse, other side, okay? Minimum objective goals would be, for me, anywhere from 8 to 12, okay? I'm gonna go for 10 for pretty much everything, just to give you a demonstration, okay? So we did 2, okay? There's 3. 4, 5, 6. So make sure that those knees are pushed out. 7, 8, and that your heels stay on the floor. All right, okay, so you get the idea. So remember, if you're gonna do 3 rounds of that, that's still 30 squats with overhead presses. Again, pick your weights based on your fitness level, okay? From here, I'm gonna head into a bent over row. If you don't like bending over and it's feeling kind of yucky for you, feel free to use something like a bench, okay, or a chair. So if this is not feeling very good for you, or you just don't feel safe or stable, you're gonna basically do the same position but support yourself, and you'll do a one-handed version, okay? So we're gonna do some bent over rows, okay? So nice and easy. You still wanna be mindful, nice neutral spine. Okay, I'm gonna stick my butt out. Make sure my heels are flat on the floor here, okay? And just basically see if I can bang out about 10 rows, okay? This should take some of the pressure away from your abdomen by leaning on an object. But again, if you're earlier on in your pregnancy and you don't feel so heavy there, you can just do a bent over row like this, right? Okay, or even just one at a time, but without any assistance. I'm gonna do the other arm here. But if you're feeling kind of heavy and you don't feel great, then by all means, add some support here, okay? So just remember, nice neutral spine. I'm leading with my elbow just until my upper arm is about parallel to the floor, okay? And make sure that when you're rowing, that when you come up, that your wrist is under your elbow. A big mistake I see a lot of people do at the gym is they're rowing, but they're bicep curling at the same time, like they're curling the weight up here. That is not correct, actually. So make sure that when you lift, from a biomechanical point of view, in terms of angles, it's wrist under elbow, and then elbow coming up in line with shoulder, okay? So if that's helpful for you, I hope, go with something like that, but just make sure it's about a 90-degree bend in the elbow, and then you can release, okay? So again, we're gonna do bent over rows there. The last exercise in circuit 1 are lunges with a shoulder raise. So I can do any lunge I'd like. I generally favor lunges that focus more on my bum, okay? So basically, I'm just gonna go on an angle here, okay? But basically, I'm gonna do alternating reverse lunges, okay? So I'm gonna step back in my lunge. When I come out of it, I'm gonna lift my arms here, okay? So I'm gonna do a lateral fly or lateral raise. Other leg. And here we go. Now, if you have any shoulder injuries or any issue as to why you can't do this, no problem. You could add bicep curls, okay, if that's a little bit better for you. You can do forward shoulder raises, but make sure that you're doing something where you're doing a leg component and then you're doing an arms component, okay? Might as well, right? We gotta multitask. But I'm sure you can hear me. I get pretty, pretty winded early these days. Feel really good, just definitely notice that I certainly sound like I'm struggling more than I feel like I am in terms of breathing. All right, so with that one, I would say 10 reps. If you're a little more advanced, I'd probably say 20, so 10 on the left, 10 on the right, but alternate the legs. So you're gonna do your squats with the pulse and the overhead press. You're gonna do your rows, whichever type of version you want. And then you're gonna do your lunges, okay? With any type of shoulders or bicep curls that you see fit, okay? 2 to 3 rounds of that if you can. If you need to pause the video, do it now. Repeat that circuit and come on back to us because we're gonna start the second one, okay? Just gonna grab a drink here. All right, that was me buying you some rest time, all right. All right, second circuit is where you're gonna need a chair, a bench, or some kind of table. Pretty much, again, be creative. Just make sure that it's stable and secure. All right, exercise number 1, we're gonna do some dips, okay? So, we're gonna do this kind of dip just because most people have something like this that they could use at home. I have equalizer bars, or like a version of equalizer bars. You can Google those if you want, so that you can do more like a gymnastics type dip. But again, if you don't want to buy that or you don't have that available, then just use something like this, no problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my hands pretty close to my butt. So like we're touching my butt here, all right? There we go. So I don't want to really be much wider than shoulder width, okay? All right. So I'm going to push my chest open. What I want to make sure happens is that my elbows go backwards, okay? And I want to basically rub my back. I'm so close to this the entire time that basically on the way down, I'm rubbing my back until I'm about parallel to the floor with my upper arm, and then pushing straight up from there. Do not do this. Very bad for the shoulders, okay? So be very aware that you are not pushing yourself away from the object. Say goodbye to your rotator cuff and by shoulders, okay? Stay close to the bench or whatever you're using. Now, to make my life easier, I have bent knees and I'm putting the weight in my heels to exaggerate what I'm doing here. You could go out here and have straight legs, sure, go for it. So you wanna make it harder, straighten up the legs. You wanna make it easier, pull the heels closer to your body, okay? Again, just changes the center of gravity there, okay? So let's do 10 reps. Again, do not go any deeper than parallel to the floor with your upper arm bone, okay? If you're not sure you're doing that, just make sure you're watching one of your arms. Use a mirror or something, whatever you got. God, I can feel how big my belly got, that's for sure. I'm like, it's touching my leg. Here we go. 9, one more. All right, so I'm gonna say 10. If you've got more endurance, by all means you could do 15 or 20, but we'll say maybe aim for about 10, even if you have to take a couple of breaks. Just remember, hands are close to the body, elbows are going back, no deeper than parallel to the floor with the upper arm bone, and keep your back very close to whatever you're using. Do not push away. Biggest mistake I ever seen. Again, you'll hurt your shoulders, okay? So exercise number 1 in the second circuit are tricep dips, okay? From here, we're gonna do some push-ups. All right. Now, I'm gonna do the push-ups elevated. I found that feels a little bit better for me than all of the weight in my belly on the floor, but you can do you. Let's just say push-ups on the floor or on an elevated surface, okay? So now that I just tried to tucker out my triceps, push-ups are gonna be great, okay? So I'm gonna get into just basic old boring push-up position here, okay? And it's just like any other push-up, there's really no modification here, okay? Now the only catch for you might be that if you are used to doing this from your knees, you're not really gonna be able to do it from your knees if you're up on an elevated object. So if you find this is too high, find something that's a bit higher, or you could go to the wall, okay? And you can do your wall push-ups here, okay? So that'll be the easiest option if you're having a hard time with this. Otherwise, just go to the floor and do them from the knees and do the best you can, right? Obviously, your belly's gonna change how deep your push-ups are, all right? So I did about 2 push-ups before. Let's go 3, let's go for 10, okay? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, a couple of pointers with this. Just remember that it's still a regular push-up, as in my hands have to come in line with my shoulders in the descent, okay? So I still want to make sure that I'm coming down with proper form. My elbows are tucked back, my face is up here. Remember that everything's creating an arrow. So my head is the tip of the arrow, and then my elbows come out like this. This is not a push-up. If you look over and you're doing the letter T, bad, very bad for the shoulders. Tuck those arms in. I would say it's about 45 degrees, okay? And it's harder than a lot of people think. But yeah, make sure that you've got this happening, okay, with the elbows coming back, and that you're not accidentally pulling the arms up into this position where, as you can see, not really good for the neck or AC joint or pretty much anything in here, okay? So, first exercise was dips, second exercise push-ups, then I'm gonna need one of my nifty bands here, okay? So I'm gonna put this on. Okay, listen, bending over is hilarious for me at this point, so whatever you need to do to get the band on. Oh my God, there we go. Oh my God, I should just sit down next time, okay? Holy. All right, so this comes just above the knee, okay? All right, so we're gonna do some lateral steps here, and I'm gonna grab these guys. All right, so basically, I can, again, add any arm exercise I would like, okay? So for me, I'm basically just gonna hold them up in the air. There's a little bit of core component to this, so if you find it's too much, you're gonna do what's called a Saxon hold, where you're just holding the weights like this. Do the best you can, be mindful of your neck. It's either gonna be this guy, or this guy, or I don't know, the YMCA here, but just keep the weights up out of the way, and basically I'm gonna do my side steps, okay? So when I'm doing this exercise, especially with the legs, what I don't wanna have happen is your feet come together and you lose the band like that, okay? So make sure that you have tension on the band at all times. So you'll notice that's why I never bring my feet back together, okay? It's always gonna be wide shoulder width, okay? I'm gonna do about 20 reps. But again, if you're finding that this is hurting your back, you're gonna have to bring those weights down, okay? Oh, my butt is on fire. 12, 13, 14, oh my God, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Oh my God, that was evil. Okay, now this is the intermediate band or the middle resistance. This one on the floor I'm gonna use in the next circuit. It's a lighter band. And then this guy here, if you guys want, is the heaviest band. So I mean, some of you guys are tanks out there, I totally know. So feel free to pick your poison when it comes to resistance. And 20 reps, lateral shuffle, that's 10 left, 10 right, with the weights either up or in a Saxon type position, okay? 3 rounds of that if you're able, we'll say 2 to 3. So again, if you wanna repeat that circuit, I would suggest you pause it right now, go finish those next 2 rounds, and then come back and we'll do the 3rd circuit, okay? I'm gonna buy you some rest time here. Here's me walking out of the frame, grabbing some water. All right. Oh, hey, you're ready for the 3rd circuit? Yeah, you are. All right, come on down. All right, so the last circuit here is pretty much mat work. So I'm gonna need these guys, okay? Or one of these, I should say. I chose the lightest one, okay? For the first exercise though, we're just gonna do our good friend bird dog, okay? So great exercise, fabulous exercise for everybody. There's a reason why it's the first and I think it's the 2nd exercise on the American Chiropractic Association website page. It's a great exercise, okay? So bird dog for so many reasons. So I'm on my hands and knees here, okay? Make sure that the wrists are underneath shoulders, knees are underneath hips. Take a deep breath in. Most of us know bird dog, but it looks like this. Opposite arm, opposite leg. A couple of rules here. Externally rotate your arm, thumb up. When you're reaching, it's thumb up, okay? Happy shoulders, happy shoulders. When you kick the leg, make sure you're kicking with your heel, like you're actually trying to kick something behind you. Like, use a bit of force so that, you could shut a door with your leg if you were to kick it. Do not kick with your toe, heel kicking. We want to activate this butt cheek, okay? So 20 reps, bird dog, here we go. 1, and I'm just holding for 1 second. Focus on breathing. And then focus on really trying to feel that in your bum and lengthen, stretch. Good. Remember with bird dog, you're not moving your torso. So I'm trying my best to keep my hips as still or as square to the floor as I possibly can. So that's what my objective is can I move my opposite arm and leg without too much wobbliness or rotational movement through the core, okay? Get those arms out, reach, thumbs up. 14, 15, here we go. 16, 17, should feel pretty good through your bum, okay? 18, 19, and 20, okay? So we'll go 20 bird dog, nice and slow, okay? So take your time, focus on your breathing. If you want to make your life a little harder, you could hold it longer. So you could do 1 or 2 Mississippi, however you want to count it out, but you could do more than 1 second, okay? Our next exercise is our good friend side plank, but not just any side plank. We're gonna do a side plank star, all right. So it's pretty important to keep your hips strong through pregnancy, okay? Because your hips are going to be more unstable than they've ever been pretty much your entire life. So we're gonna do a side plank that has a little bit more of a hip emphasis. All right, so a couple of rules. Just remember that your arm should be stacked, as in the shoulder should be above elbow. You should not have your arm out here. Look at that, there's nothing under my armpit. That's very bad, we don't want that. So I'm gonna support my armpit, make sure that everything is straight here, nice big fist. I'm gonna basically try to stretch out as best I can, okay? So I'm gonna come up on my knee, but my knee is in line with my other major joints. So my shoulder, my hip, and my knee are in the same line. If your knee's out here, it's wrong. Get it back there, get it back. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna come up in my side plank star here. If this is enough for me, I'm gonna hold my side plank like a modified side plank here. But if I can do it, I'm gonna lift that top leg. And I'm gonna hold like this. We're gonna aim for 30 seconds, okay? So hang in there. The old stopwatch is on here. All right. So you can add all sorts of things here. You could do leg lifts. You can do twists if you want. Remember what I said about deep twists earlier? Nothing too wild, okay? But basically something like this. And my hope for you is that you're feeling this in your hips. Maybe the obliques, maybe the lats up here in your shoulders, sure. But hips for sure. Now remember, you already did a standing version, and you can relax, where you were doing those lateral steps. So we activated your hips, okay? So they should be ready to go for this exercise. Again, just depends how much hip work you do outside of this, okay? All right, friends. I just rolled over onto the other side. Let's do the second set. Here we go in 3, 2, and this is 30 seconds. Here we go. Again, check your form. Make sure you went through that checklist with the arm and the knee in line with the body, okay? But again, if it's too much, just put the top leg down and keep going. Make sure you push those hips forward, squeeze your bum, nice and open through the front. What I don't want you to be is like this, okay? If you're holding a side plank like that, it's terrible, okay? I'm gonna come over and we're gonna correct that form, all right? All right, here we go. Whoops. There we go in 3, 2, and that was 30 seconds. So again, if you think you can go a little longer than that, by all means, try 45 seconds, try a minute. But remember, you can repeat the circuit 2 to 3 times, right? So you'll have an opportunity if you want to do 3 30-second side planks or 3 1-minute side planks. That's up to you. The last exercise is called the Clam Shell. So we're going to grab this guy here, okay? I wouldn't recommend you go too heavy with this one, okay? Again, you'll see and you can be the judge here. But basically, we're going to start like this. Oh. You can either put the band just below the knee or just above. Up to you. So if you have a heavier band, above the knee is probably going to be easier. And if you want to make your life easier, I'd probably recommend you put it down here. But try both, and whatever one yields the greatest burn in the hips is up to you, okay? Is the one that you should choose. So let's start here. So I'm going to lay on my side in my best beach pose, okay? Here we go. This is exactly how I lay on the beach every time I'm there, okay? So I'm gonna bend my knees. So I've got the band above my knee, feet together. I'm gonna bring myself back here. Don't be too picky with where the knees are. Like some people do feel this more with the knees slightly in front of their body. I know sometimes textbook will say the knees have to be in line, but I haven't found that that's been the case in terms of proper activation here for me anyway. So play around, okay? But basically keeping my feet together, all I'm gonna do and keep my hand on the floor, okay? I'm going to roll my top leg up and back as far as I can go without rolling my belly button back with me. So kind of jokes all around about my belly button sticking out. So I can pretty much tell if it's pointing that way or not, okay? So if you notice that you're rolling back with the leg, you're compensating for this guy trying to be lazy, okay? Or like he's basically doesn't want to do all the work that you're asking him to, so he's going to try to get you to roll so it makes it look like you're doing more, okay? So keep everything nice and still, just making sure that you're lifting through the hip and the glute here, okay? So for this one, I would suggest probably closer to 15 to 20 reps, okay? And you should feel this right here, side of your butt. All right, there's 10, let's go 5 more. We'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, you got it. All right, so this is called the clamshell. I know it has the worst name ever, but you totally get the exercise, and you should feel this in the side of your butt, okay? So let's do the other side here. Again, your best beach pose, here we go. And again, play around with how you have the knees here, okay? But again, the most important part is that the feet are together, okay? And that when you lift the top knee, that you don't roll back with the leg lift, okay? Don't move your body. Keep everything as still as you can, and you're just rotating right here. So keep your feet together. Oh yeah, this side's a little harder than the other. All right, good. All right, there's 10. Let's go 5 more. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Whoo! Oh, I felt the burn on that one right in my side butt. Oh my God. All right. So again, those are called clamshells. So my suggestion would be go lighter and higher rep with that exercise. I love this band for this exercise. This is, for me, the absolute perfect resistance to do like 15, 20. Sometimes when I'm lazy, I'll just do 30 reps and call it a day. Like I don't want to do any more sets. But you be you. Make sure you feel this in your hips. If you don't feel it there, rearrange your body position and just see if maybe that's all it takes. Or remember what I said, you could try the band below the knee and see if that helps you as well, okay? So remember that our third circuit was bird dog, 20 reps. Ooh, side plank star for 30 seconds or more. Both sides, make sure you repeat it on the left side and the right side, okay? Followed by the clamshell, same thing, about 15, I'd say 15 to 20 left and then right. If you want to repeat the circuit, you could do 2 rounds, 3 rounds. It just really depends how you're feeling and how much time you have. But I would say for maximum effort, 3 rounds of each circuit. And if you're just, feeling kind of crummy and you just want to try to get through one of everything, go for it. No worries. So hopefully you got a few ideas there in terms of some exercises that you can still be doing. There are lots more. Just be very careful with anything that involves bending, twisting, and of course lying on your back or your stomach. Don't do it. Otherwise, if you have any issues or questions, give us a shout. But yeah, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys next time, okay?